Hello and welcome back. I am 13 and tonight we're going to be playing some Neoform Saheeli. So I actually did flag this deck as competitive. It is on the fringe of the format. There's a lot of very powerful cards going on. This is also a toolbox deck that has some very intricate lines. Unfortunately, just the way that things have been going, I actually am probably going to start cutting Monday from my stream rotation just because it's really hard to stay on top of three decks. My schedule is just getting a little overpacked and I really wanted to test this one and I wasn't able to. So same thing happened on Sunday. Yeah, time commitments are making this difficult. So we're going to be evaluating that in the near future. But tonight is going to be a lot of fun ofs. And because of that, well, not really fun ofs, but toolbox. Either way, our deck is massive. And it's really going to show when we try to tutor out those creatures that matter. But either way, this is a powerful strategy. So we are going to be playing the standard banned combo of Copycat. Saheeli Rai will make a copy of Felidar Guardian. Felidar Guardian will blink Saheeli. Saheeli makes a copy of Felidar Guardian, etc., etc., etc. It does get interrupted by a single point of damage, so now that Gutshot's out of the format. It's not nearly as easy for them to kill Saheeli. They actually have to have a real card. And on top of that, we have the new Hush Fairy coming out that stops enter the battlefield effects. So we need to play this one before Throne of Eldraine or whatever it's called, because that's really going to mess with us. But this deck is built on Neoform and Eldritch Evolution, being able to go tutor the card that's going to have the most impact. We are a 4-color deck running Magus of the Moon, so that should really tell you exactly what we're going for here tonight. But bottom of the shell is we have a Lotus Cobra trying to ramp us up very quickly and fast. Oath of Nissa is going to make it so that we actually can play that Magus of the Moon, as well as just be a green ponder and a pretty good flicker target. And then we do also get it abused to Fairy. I absolutely hate this card in Modern, but you cannot deny its power level. Teferi is going to allow us to draw cards, stop our opponent from interacting with us. Like, he's just going to be a powerhouse. Past that, we have a lot of single ofs that are great tutor targets, like Magus of the Moon to shut out a greedy opponent, Shalai so that we can get hexproof versus something similar to Ad Nauseam, and Spellskite to protect our creatures. And that's basically the deck. So we do have the ability to go get Kiki Jiki. We have multiple cards in here like Deputy of Detention that we can just tutor the one of up and lock our opponent out. Eidolon of Rhetoric. We're going to have some really awkward, just regular draws. We're going to open a hand with like 2 non-basics and a Magus and a Eidolon of Rhetoric versus a deck that doesn't really care, but whatever. We are going to be able to tutor and lock some opponents out of the game, and that's how we're going to get a decent amount of our wins. So we'll have some fun with that. Right off the bat, we get a single lander with some paths. We can do better than this. We need more mana. Okay, we did register lands in this list, right? Lands are cards that I put in my deck. Okay, these are some lands. I actually want the white source for the Path to Exile in case opponent deals with our Noble, and I'm probably okay without the island at the moment. We could probably have an Icefang Codal in this list, or Coatl. I've heard it's supposed to be Coatl, but I don't like that. That's not for me. But not being able to Neoform or Eldritch Evolution at instant speed makes the Death Touch significantly more awkward, so not a huge fan of that. That's a bad draw step. It immediately looks like Storm or Soul Herder. EE on 1. Okay. So opponent's going to try to blow our Noble. This does mean we're playing against Urza or some type of new variant of eggs. So I actually think what I'm going to do is run out my Lotus Cobra and shock this in with intent to path, just because we have some very, very expensive cards in our deck. No need to use Lotus Cobra. We'll see if opponent just wants to pop EE or not. I don't imagine we look like Infect. Snow Forest into Hierarch probably looks like Soul Herder. Yep. I'm just intending to draw something for 4 mana that's good, as well as color fix us. So we'll go get that island back. I don't really need the mana, so whatevs. We're good. That is a pretty good skews. Lotus Cobra gets some beats in, and then Scoos comes down, and we're going to try to make this a respectable clock. If they end up piecing together... I don't know, I guess this could technically be Cheerios with the blue. Serum Visions looks a little bit more like Cheerios or Urza. 2 cards to the bottom. Opponent looks like they have an awkward draw. Opponent. Alright, well, we have awkwardness afoot. Opponent gets to blow EE, then we get a run out of Lotus Cobra, and sadness ensues. Alright, this is basically confirming Urza. Having something like a Kataki pop up would be amazing. Waiting until my draw step. That's some pretty horrible sequencing, but they do get their Wellspring in the yard. Let's take a quick look at the deck view. So I can run out the Lotus Cobra, and I'd have to wait a full turn before Eldritch Evolution, but that could get me Shalai. Shalai is a decent attacker. Alternatively, I can end up Eldritch Evolutioning my Noble Hierarch, get Deputy. That's probably not a terrible consideration. Opponent's already on all basics. Renegade Rallier would actually bring back my Noble. Ewit pick up Scoos also feels pretty good. I think the bottom line here is I just need to get my Noble Hierarch out, or my Lotus Cobra out at the moment, because it's a little bit better for Eldritch Evolution. I could turn something like a top deck Saheeli into lethal. Alright, there's a Saheeli of my opponent's. This could actually be a polymorph deck. It doesn't seem very likely, but it could be. Turn target creature to its owner's hand. Perfectly acceptable. Mishra's Bauble makes attacking hard. I think this actually just puts me on Kataki. That's a Felidar Guardian. So, Felidar Guardian can flicker a land. Land entering would trigger Lotus Cobra. I'd have 2 mana, so I can't Eldritch Evolution. Versus Eldritch Evolution, go pick up Ewit, Ewit grab the Eldritch Evolution. That would at least let me get a 5-drop like a Kiki Jiki, but that's not very productive at the moment. I guess that actually does go infinite with the current Felidar Guardian, so... rough. Alright, bye, Lotus Cobra. Thank you for trying. Deputy of Detention would allow me to attack in. Scoos could technically be a 4/4, but opponent can bounce it. I can get a Snapcaster and Path. That doesn't really do anything at the moment. I think we're just going to go for Kataki. It's better long term. It'll make it so opponent can't explode. And then Felidar Guardian can block servos as long as they want to keep them around. Opponent is going to have to bounce my Kataki here, otherwise they lose most of their artifacts or can't cast anything. Yep. Bye, Spellbomb. At least you weren't a cantrip. Opponent actually might be on Cryptic. Odds are we're just going to get combo killed out of nowhere. The combo I would probably suspect would be the Modern Tinker combo, like Polymorph. But they haven't really shown us anything besides artifacts. I'm expecting an Urza to come down. So I haven't seen a sword or a Thopter Foundry yet either. One on top, one on bottom. So we probably have something coming our way. And opponent is clearly not budget. So I'm suspecting like scrying cheats are somewhere in this list. There's the Urza. Currently a 6/6. They do have a Mox Opal open, so they could have a Spell Snare. Yep, pain. Pain incoming. Okay, 2 mana available. Could be things similar to Remand, but looks like I've got something fun coming my way. A Whir for 3. Or just an Urza activation for a Bauble. Alright, well we're falling pretty far behind. Deputy of Detention would be good. Or Eldritch Evolution to get it. That's a Teferi. Teferi bounce doesn't really do a whole lot. I guess I permanently answer the construct and draw a new card. Alternatively, I run out Kataki. They just pay for everything, make a servo the construct, and then swing in for lethal. So, and we found the land, so we can actually Kataki as well. Alright, well this is a start. We're technically alive. They're going to have at least 2 Urza activations. Oh, I love Kataki. When it's good, it's so good. Alright, they're going to keep the 5 Katakis around. The Opal doesn't make sense to keep around, but I mean, they can do what they got to do. I guess it's technically mana neutral, but then you have to manage the trigger. Yep, opponent wants to kill Teferi and hit me for 5. Perfectly acceptable. I agree. They also left Saheeli open, so they might have a path. Or just another 0-drop artifact. Yep, EE for 0. Well, Kataki's going to be attacking as a 3/2, so at least get to eat the servo. Never mind. Yay, free artifacts. WD still a really good draw. I actually can't pay for Saheeli right now. If I get a red mana, I can pay for Saheeli in a pinch by untapping a land. Alright, well, let's just do this. Alright, Felidar Guardian blocks, but opponent has 8 attackers, which means we're going to be throwing Noble Hierarch in front of something. I actually don't want to show them the Felidar Guardian. We're not going to win from here, and they do look to be just like Urza, just Azorius for some reason. Ancient Grudge gets to come in, Teague gets to come in, Revoker gets to come in, Lenvala definitely comes in, Other Deputy. We have some pretty decent cards for this. Core Firewalker doesn't do much. They're probably on Thopter Foundry, but we didn't see it. I think 2 pass is a pretty good spot since we really only have to answer Urza. As far as trims, We can actually do a lot of things here. Eidolon probably isn't that great. It does pseudo stop Urza activations, but we're probably losing that battle anyway. The Eldritch Evolutions, they look like they're on a more control-y build, so this is slightly awkward. I'm happy to keep the Neoforms because it's cheaper, but still sacking something is kind of painful. And we were on the Moldafy. Like, this probably isn't that bad of a matchup. Opponent, considering a Felidar Guardian. The Phyrexian Revoker can name any of their Planeswalkers, or more importantly, Urza. This won't actually... Actually, this does stop mana ability, so we need that in here. Knight of Autumn is fine. Renegade Rallier is a good value card. It's a pretty easy way to buy back lands and ramp up, but when we actually have targeted hate pieces, that can probably be a trim. Scooz also eats something out of the yard. Lotus Cobra ended up just eating an EE, which is probably another reason trim and Noble Hierarch. No, we need a lot of mana in this deck. Magus of the Moon. That hurts us more than opponent. We can run like that. Like to play first, not mulligan to Oblivion this time. And this is a turn 2 Teferi. Acceptable by my standards. No Neoform, no combo pieces, but we're going to have a hot second before Urza becomes a problem. And an Astrolabe, not an EE. I kind of like to see that. Alright, you spell Pierce my Teferi, you have my respect, opponent. Although Teague is looking a little bit more interesting. Opponent's going to have 3 mana next turn. We're just going to go for Teferi. If you get us, you get us. And opponent's not going to be attacking anytime soon, so I'm just taking the cantrip. Oh, and we even got the Guardian. Guardian Flicker Teferi is a free card draw. They have their own Teferi. You got it. Alright, and that is a Lotus Cobra. I love this card. Lotus Cobra. We're going to make some mana. So I'm going to play Teague and probably double Noble Hierarch, or I can potentially just play... Actually, it's just Teague and Hierarch, but that's still fine. So we get a Stomping Grounds. We're going to get white. That's our good buddy Gaddock Teague, just an amazing Kithkin advisor. And then a Noble Hierarch. And sure, we'll put Teferi's ability on the stack until end of turn, which is going to be very short. Opponent, I have Rainbow Mana, and you probably have a Damnation coming my way. Maybe just Urza? Alright. So I get to Path Urza, bounce the Construct, and kill Teferi? That's a pretty sweet turn. Ooh, do we just win here? So they can't interact with us. I can pay 4 mana for Felidar Guardian, flicker the land, and I come up 1 short. Because the land enters, I get the landfall trigger, and then I get the mana for turn. Alright, we'll kill your Teferi. We'll slow roll for a turn. Teferi's trigger goes onto the stack for no particular reason. Then Felidar Guardian. Flicker Teferi. If I hit a land here, I'll be sad, but I didn't feel confident making that play. So bounce the construct. July's pretty decent. I guess that didn't leave me open with path because I didn't hit a land. Oh well. Trade the Lotus Cobra for Teferi. And then we have the win on the table. The opponent needs to find the Spell Bomb to bounce the Feldar Guardian to even kill our Teferi to pretend like they want to interact. Or potentially Fatal Push. I don't know what your vice is, opponent. You might be on Fatal Push. You did see a lot of creatures out of us last game. EE on 0 could also stop combat for a turn. Deputy of Detention also technically stops us. Okay, well, we still win through this. Alright, they hit Teague. So they might have Whir coming. Nope. EE to stop the Felidar Guardians for a turn. EE to stop the Felidar Guardians for a turn. Oh, they're trying. Teague does technically stop EE coming down from the X in the cost, so they had to bounce Teague in order to make that happen. Although... Oh, they're a paradoxical outcome deck. Okay. I'm feeling you, opponent. You haven't shown me the Pure Steel Paladin or Shram to make this worthwhile, but I guess you're not doing... I guess you're kind of doing your own thing. That's fine. I'm just going to F6 because Teferi's out, so... Opponent, you do you. Stony Silence would be good on the board, but I honestly feel like we're in a decent spot for this, so... I guess we'll see if opponent can kill us. You can make a lot of tokens, but unless you go infinite, it doesn't really do a whole lot. All these 0 CMC artifacts are mana, though. Given the fact they're black, I actually don't know what their win condition is. They could technically have a Grape Shot. They could have a... Like, they don't get Brain Freeze or Ad Nauseam Tendrils of Agony. But you do you, opponent. You're going to draw a lot of cards. I'm still working under the assumption it's possible for them to fizzle. Urza gets a couple of redraws, but that's 2 Paradoxicals out of the way. So if they get one more Paradoxical, they're probably fine. Do 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 do. So they're gonna have 10 mana here, 5 mana here. They get 3 respins off of Urza. If they have a Snapcaster, they'll be able to Snapcaster pick up 5 artifacts for draw 5. That doesn't seem particularly good to me. I need to see your win condition, opponent. "12 mana, 13 mana, 14 mana. Is this a Walking Ballista for 7? That's probably something I can concede to. Paradoxical, pick up 5 things. Okay. So if they have an Emrakul, they can cast it. I'm guessing that deck has to be at least moderately fun to play. I was tinkering around with building something similar to it, but when you literally don't have a deterministic win and it's at least twice as slow as Devoted Druid, doesn't make much sense that you want to do it. Also scoops to Stony Silence and creature removal that can hit Urza, which to be fair is only Revolted Fatal Push and Path, but... Alright, there's a Sai. You're going to get a lot of Thopters now. Not sure why they picked up Saheeli, but okay. That just cost them more mana. I guess every artifact is now officially giving them 3 mana because they get to tap it, the Thopter, and the Servo that gets generated. Now, funny enough, if they actually do past us and have to pop the EE, they're going to sacrifice their entire board for it. A while back, I played a Mentor Cheerios list that ended up giving all their creatures haste by splashing red, but opponents shown us no signs of going red. I also don't have a Storm count, so I'm assuming they don't have anything with Storm in their list. Pretty tedious. Emrakul! Alright, they're sacking their artifacts to draw. Still have not found a win condition yet. Or a paradoxical outcome. Alright, went for another Urza. That got them a construct. They now have black mana for a fatal push. Do I have a draw that can win now? Because I can put out Shalai, doesn't really do a whole lot. If I get a Neoform, I can Neoform into a 2-drop that doesn't really do a whole lot. I took Renegade Rallier out. Deputy of Detention could technically take a lot of their attackers. Stop decking another Feldar Guardian, Blinker to Fairy. I don't think we have something that we can draw out to win this. So I can go get a Snapcaster Mage, but that doesn't accomplish a whole lot. Eldritch Revolution can only grab me a 3-drop, which would be probably Deputy, which only buys us a turn. What did I pull in for my sideboard while opponents is dawdling? Linvala can technically do something. Phyrexian Revoker can stop Urza, but honestly the damage is kind of done. Okay, they found a grinding station. Alright. Took them a very long time to get there. That was a painful deck to play against. I really hope you skip through that if you're rewatching this on YouTube, because that was just abysmal. We were 1 turn away from doing fun things. Alright, well, turn 3 to Fairy and a Dryad Arbor does not make a hand. This is quite a bit better, so we'll hang on to this. We have to tuck something, so it's probably just going to be Skews. And I'm actually just looking for an additional land. And looks like Control. So Teferi's going to come in pretty clutch here, or this is probably just a blue-white Stoneforge deck. Looking more like Stoneforge deck. I actually have to care about my colors here, so I'm going to grab my red source while I can. This does tell opponent what we're doing with the Oath of Nissa and Stomping Grounds, though, so... No, I fast-clicked, but that's what I wanted, so that's fine. Oh, this is Infect. Okay. Might just be dead here. Not a lot of removal for Infect. So basically looking to rip a Felidar Guardian off the top at this point. My life total's not going to matter, so let's just grab a Temple Garden. And Lotus Cobra. So ripping a Felidar Guardian, I can play my fetch land, go get a fetch land. That'll give me 2 mana. 3 mana on the table, flicker a land, have 3 mana for Saheeli, so a Felidar Guardian off the top is lethal. Although it looks like I'm just dead here, so... Show me potato salad. Actually, you only have white and blue available. I might make it one more turn. Unless you've got mutagenics. Distortion Strike is not +5. Alright, well that doesn't really do it. Saheeli can create a token of Lotus Cobra. Then I can get 3 mana to pick up a fetch land. Actually, how much do I have here? So, land, Saheeli, crack, 2 mana. I can Kataki, but I'm likely just dead. So, seeing as how I'm still within the realm of being able to kill opponent, what do I have off the top? Eidolon of Rhetoric could get me a little ways. Sorry, not Rhetoric. Yeah, words are hard. Let's go to this view. Magus of the Moon is the card that I want. So let's go ahead and take red, because that's our best win here. That's a Birds of Paradise. Alright, opponent, this is your turn to kill me. Blood Moon would have given me 3 turns. Now opponent needs at least 1 buff spell. Another Distortion Strike will do it. Alright. That is Infect. Doing Infect things. Phyrexian Revoker comes in because it can name anything except for the mana lands, so Giver of Runes is a consideration there. The Path to Exiles for creature removal. Deputy of Detention, just so we can snag creatures. Linvala doesn't actually do a whole lot. Like at 4 mana, it just doesn't make the cut when Eldritch Evolution or Neoform can grab Phyrexian Revoker pretty quickly. Cuts. Opponent probably isn't going to try to proliferate us with Throne of Geth like Hardened Scales does. Eidolon of Rhetoric's just too slow. Rallier's a little bit too slow. Spellskite is amazing here, like absolutely amazing. And we don't care about their yard. They might have become immense, but Scavenging Ooze won't win that battle. Yeah, this is fine. Phyrexian Revoker can name Giver. And then, yeah, Eldritch Evolution can go get... That means we get Eldritch Evolution my turn 2 play. We'll see if they lead on Giver or not. But when you don't have much interaction, this is about as good as it gets. And opponent goes to 6. Not going to pay life. Doesn't really matter here, but I'm not going to try to interact. If they give her, going to play Scavenging Ooze so I can sack it. If they don't, probably just Phyrexian Revoker. Misty's not actually going to accomplish anything yet, so let's do this. Opponent also has plenty of Distortion Strike, so I wouldn't be surprised if they make this unblockable. Ink Moth Nexus. Unfortunately, this says non-land. Scallop? This looks like a scallop. Just a blighted agent. Alright, so I can actually Eldritch Evolution for a Felidar Guardian and just go for my own lethal. Opponent only has 4 cards in hand. If this is a scale up, I'm likely dead. If not, I'm probably okay. Alternatively, I can just... Whatever. This is, in fact, we're going to die pretty quickly. We're going to make them have it, because that's the best we can do here. So, Stomping Grounds. May as well get in for some free damage. Just make it less clicks if opponent's going to be salty about it. They could technically have mutagenic growth there, but they're not going to use it to block. So I can get Deputy of Detention, remove the unblockable creature. I can get Spellskite to make their buff spells worthless, but I can get Felidar Guardian, and that will at least allow me to win the game. Yeah, Knight of Autumn's not really going to do anything yet. Are they actually... Nope, Magus of the Moon. We're going to lock them out of the game. I didn't realize they hadn't played a basic yet. That was the obvious play. 13, you're bad at this game. They had the forest. And now I have a single white source. Alright, well, this should at least make it so that they don't attack in with the Glistener Elf. Then I get to Phyrexian Revoca. You are bad at this game, 13. You should have just gotten a basic forest with that Misty. Should have looked at the deck list and said, this is the card that I want. Alright. 6 poison. Ooh, Deputy of Detention actually makes this kind of usable. So I can Ewit, pick up the Magus. I can just Deputy and hit the Blighted Agent. We're just going to Deputy, hit the Blighted Agent. This will buy us the most amount of time, because this is going to require them to have a 4 damage buff spell with the Inkmoth Nexus, which is about the most we can ask for. Kind of coming back full circle, though. Like, this is why I needed to playtest with the deck, and I just don't have the time, so we're going to try to take Mondays off to make higher quality content, just because I horribly threw that away. Alright, they don't have landfall, which means I'm fine for a turn. They do have another Inkmoth Nexus, though. Path can kind of keep me alive for another full turn. So let's go ahead and just Ewit, pick up our land. Then this will allow me to Kiki, and I can try to value from here. This is not good. So this is both landfall and the ability to activate both Inkmoth Nexuses. So if they have a Blossoming Defense, I am basically just dead here. So I have to take this hit. But then I can have Kiki Jiki for the attacker, so I might be okay. It's going to be very close, though. does this matter? Let's just get the additional color source. Waterlogged Grove. I don't have the red because I'm never supposed to hardcast a Kiki. Alright, well, I can Phyrexian Revoker, but it won't let me name Inkmoth Nexus, which means that they have 2 flying attackers I just can't deal with. Let's just go ahead and cycle this guy. That technically keeps me alive. Not by much, though. This is hoping that they don't have a single hexproof spell. Then you want to wait for them to attack just so that they don't have the mana to actually interact with you. Infect usually doesn't care, Celestial Colonnade typically does. Okay, so opponent had something there. At least they were trying to bluff that they did. Yep, there's the Blossoming Defense. Alright, well, Neoform Saheeli is showing a lot of the problems it had when it was actually working on the edge of the format, which is you don't interact with combo very well. You can tutor for one specific piece that might do something, but that's about it. We may have been able to take that game too if I would have actually properly sequenced the Eldritch Evolution, but I mean, even then, opponent had their basic forest and mutagenic growth, so I was on the table at least for 2 damage a turn, as well as getting around a combat trick. What can you do? Kiki in hand was slightly awkward there. I know a lot of Chord decks can get away with 2 Kikis with not enough red sources to cast it. We would have been able to cast Under the Blood Moon, which is the original plan there. I forgot that they killed our Magus, but again, honestly, a little fried. So what would have been nice was actually, what is the exact wording on Deputy of Detention? Because that would have actually made a difference if we could. Nope, that's not going to work. Deputy of Detention. Where'd you go, Streamlabs? Target non-land permanent, so we wouldn't have even been able to target Inkmoth Nexus. Just powerful card. Alright, hopefully this one goes a little bit better. I'd at least like to take a single combo. Alright, well this is technically the hand that could make everything happen. So we're going to go ahead and grab a Temple Garden. And play our, sure, Birds of Paradise. Then if opponent has interaction for our Birds of Paradise, we can Oath of Nissa looking for a land, and then Noble Hierarch. Oh, they got the Bogle. They got Mr. Bogley. We technically have a quick win here, though. Oh, and look at that. We even found a land. We're good at this game. Sometimes. Get in there, Mr. Bird. Sometimes it's about sending a message. Sometimes it's actually hitting them for one. That's 5 damage already. With Trample. Well done, opponent. Okay, I'm not going to be able to trigger Revolt here. So Felidar Guardian, Blink the Land isn't actually going to accomplish a whole lot. Saheeli, Scry is going to be fine, but then opponent kills the Saheeli. So I think we have to put it on opponent to actually kill us this turn. or have a path to exile, which isn't completely unheard of. Hopefully Oath of Nissa will just find us a basic land. Alright, well, opponent's got to know where a Saheeli deck, and a backup is not terrible. We actually have a lot of backup cards here. If opponent leaves up white, it typically means that they have path. Alright, Daybreak Coronet is hitting for 9, and then I kill opponent. So, given what I've seen so far, this likely means opponent's going to make us click through it, but... Create a copy of you, target Saheeli, always yield, always yes, yes, make a copy. Save targets, make a copy. Alright, they are going to make us do it, but we successfully comboed. We're going to move this over here. Apparently that's not going to work. Alright, flicker you, flicker you, flicker you. And I think opponent's planning on trying to gain life with blocking with the Bogle, so they think that they can cheese us out if we don't make enough, so I'm going to make more than enough. Either that or they want us to misclick, but... I will make a lot, opponent. I will make a lot. Always yes. The problem is we're making a new object every time that this comes down, so it doesn't think it knows what I want it to do. Opponent, I have iterated the loop. Are you actually going to concede now? Nope. Okay. Just a small moto lockup. Alright, so opponent's at 23. They're going to gain 9 when I block. Or when they block me. So I've got to have more than 30. Well, 32. At least with our combo, you know you're deterministically dead. It didn't happen with Urza, so we had to sit through it. Opponent, you are very dead. I'm going well over at this point just for the rubbins. It's not like clock's going to be a problem, so... My name is Saheeli and I speak for the kitties. This is when I actually took the time to go and fast forward the Infinite Squirrels video, but whatever. I assume if you're watching this on YouTube a while back, you decided to just skip ahead. If you didn't, you might have a problem. Alright, opponent. How's your salty rubbins now? This is my first time iterating this combo, and I'm still blowing through it. Are we done yet? 50, 60-ish? Scry. I don't want a noble hierarch. Alright. Keep the real one back. And 60 you? Opponent concedes. Oh, wow. Alright, well. Good for you, I suppose. Teague actually doesn't do much in here. It does stop Leyline. Core Firewalker actually doesn't do much. Phyrexian Revoker doesn't do much. I actually prefer the 3-path to exile split when I'm playing with blue-white control because Core Spirit Dancer is actually a problem. The Kataki gets to come out. Magus of the Moon is actually fantastic because when you're piloting Bogles, you need to get double white. And sometimes you actually start off with your Dryad Arbor, so that's a pretty nice start. Night of Autumn is just fantastic here. July doesn't really do much. We can grow our creatures, but us having Hexproof doesn't stop much. So that seems like a pretty fair split. Spellskite is, again, going to be one of our best cards. Bogles plays pretty similarly to Infect, where they just want to target their creatures with things, so if Spellskite can interrupt it, it's just fantastic. This is results biased, but I'm kind of thinking I want a Spellskite somewhere in the list just because it can still interact with our creatures, and we have played 2 decks that care very heavily about buffing their own stuff. Again, though, results bias. Probably not good enough. Just for the record, Felidar Guardian, Felidar Guardian, Felidar Guardian. Targeting Saheeli Riot, Felidar Guardian. We had some fun there. There's a lot of stuff. Alright, well, if our Bogles opponent wants to be a little salty and wait for us to make 70 Felidar Guardians, I guess that's where we're at today. If you are technically going for the Eldritch Evolution kill here, it isn't uncommon for this deck to be playing a Restoration Angel. So you can do Restoration Angel Kiki Jiki at the end. I felt like I wanted Linvala and Shalai more just for the current state of Modern. Linvala will make it so that the Urza decks don't work, and Shalai will take a lot of the unfair combos away from being able to target you. But, yeah, I mean, this is where we're at. Teague doesn't stop much from Bogles. Bogles actually typically runs Teague because it really doesn't like Cryptic Command or Verdict effects. Plus, Terminus was a huge problem. I know we did a video a while back with Bogles where Sriracha was playing with us. He's one of my coworkers, and he actually had to stop playing the deck completely when Miracles was a thing, right after Jace got unbanned, because Terminus was just... doesn't kill it. It doesn't trigger Totem Armor. Alright, good hand, please. Lotus Cobra. We probably could have taken the Eidolon out. But we technically have our combo as well as a Lotus Cobra. I don't like that Saheeli's going to come out first, though. Opponent's not really trying to interact with us. This is probably fine. This is hoping that we draw a fetch land for 3 for this Lotus Cobra, though, so that we can Felidar Guardian on 3. Bogles is pretty good at goldfishing turn 4 kills and also mulliganing to Oblivion. Alright, well, I am going to go get a pain-free land first. By pain-free, I mean just something tapped. Likelier Stomping Grounds so that we can actually cast Saheeli. Do we actually have a Steam Vents? That feels like a question worth answering. No Steam Vents, but you can't cast Saheeli off of a single Steam Vent, so that makes sense. This list was iterated off of an old one from a couple of months ago. Protection from creatures. Alright, a little bit of a slower start there. Alright, Stomping Grounds away. Flooded Strand. Sometimes I hate mana. Alright. Ooh, Eldritch Evolution. Does mean we actually get to Felidar Guardian here. But Lotus Cobra. Hyena Umbra. They've always got the Daybreak Coronet. Alright, taking 6 here. Unblockable. Fetch land? Not a fetch land. Ooh, that's actually a pretty decent one. But I can't do much. So let's go ahead and just Lotus Cobra. See if opponent actually has one more aura in the 2-card hand. Find it improbable that they don't. Rancor, still not dead. Alright, I think Fetch Land still kills opponent here. Nope, because I'll die. Suppression Field. Alright, well, we didn't hit our lands, so opponent gets this one. Let's just do a little bit better on the play. Opponent has more enchantments. Honestly, not that surprised by that. Nothing I really care about here, though. So let's just run it back and be a little bit faster. I guess we could actually make this trim. Just because I can name something like Horizon Canopy. Maybe the path is better there. Better than just a 2-1, but we still do need to keep our creature count up pretty high for the Neoform Eldritch Evolution package. We actually need things to sacrifice so we can go tutor out our sideboard pieces. But we have a lot of like single of answers. If we bounce the only enchantment on a Bogle when they have Celestial Mantle on it, that's not the right card. Daybreak Coronet on it. We can stop a lot of things. Okay, this is amazing. This is fantastic. So we get an Oath of Nissa, look for a creature, but then we have Spellskite to steal all the auras. I feel dirty. Let's move the stack back over here. I actually like seeing it here. I was just trying to fast click. Let's see. So I already have a Teferi. Deputy of Detention can answer just about anything. I have 3 mana, which is kind of acceptable at the moment. I think that just means I'm going for a Deputy. Be able to snag anything that actually matters off the Bogle, or if they're trying to use like multiple of the same Umbra. And then this is going to be the check to see if they actually have interaction, because Spellskite is going to make it so that they can't actually put auras on anything. I've seen a couple Bogles players concede to this. We'll see if they have the path or not. Alright, not yet. Scavenging Ooze is fine. Teferi doesn't actually let opponent do much interesting here. I don't have any value targets to bounce other than the Oath of Nissa, and I'm not sure if I actively want to do that or not. Let's just go ahead and Scavenging a Ooze with the ability to eat something with Scooze or potentially Path. And then this is likely just going to go get a Stomping Grounds, and then I can Teferi next turn. I guess Teferi could stop shenanigans with opponent having Path. But yeah, right now they're trying to draw into removal. Alright, Mr. Scooze, get in there. There's the Teferi, should stop a lot of blowouts, and then I can't actually bounce the Bogle. We'll just plus for now. Don't get me wrong, his asymmetry is better than most Planeswalkers' ultimates, but it's a little sad he doesn't actually have an ult. Alright, there's our red mana. Feldar Guardian, Blink's Oath of Nissa. We get a free green Ponder. Ooh, Snapcaster Mage. That's a fun one. Although I only have a Path at the moment, I think that puts me on the land. Snapcaster's technically a clock. Whatever, I'm good with the land. Then we'll go ahead and run out the Windswept Heath, so I still have options to do things. Then my Scavenging Ooze gets to get in. An opponent has to figure out how to answer the Spellskite, deal with Teferi, the Deputy of Detention. They can throw a couple of enchantments on, but not a great spot to be in when you're the Bogles player. There's a second Bogle. So notably, that means that Scooze doesn't get in very easily. But I think I'm just going to go for Dryad Arbor here so I can get some more beats in. Alright, whatever. That's a Birds of Paradise. So I'm going to bounce Oath of Nissa, just try to get a little bit more card draw going on here. Free green Ponder, and there's a Saheeli. So opponent can't interact with us at this point. And hey, look at that! They actually scooped it up! Well, we moved to 1-0, punished Bogles, but I've said this a lot before. If you're actually going to objectively look at that match, we didn't win it, Spellskite won it. It was just the fact that we had the right toolbox kit. We didn't even really go tutor it. We just opened it in our opening hand, we were able to cast it, and Spellskite went the distance. And that is something that this deck gets to do, but you do have to be kind of explicit and say, we didn't win that, Spellskite did. Well, this gives us the opportunity to Noble and to Eidolon. If it's not good, we can Neoform it into something useful. This Kiki Jiki has just been absolutely abysmal, though. Not a huge fan of it at the moment. Like, we don't even have a way to cheat it into play from our hand. Like, there's no Through the Breach. Okay, this looks like a start from Jund or potentially Ponza. I'm not going to Neoform for a 2-drop. I'm just going to Noble. This lead makes me think that they're going to bolt my Noble. But if they bolt the Noble, they bolt the Noble. I'll just Oath next turn with a tap land. Okay, well, Steam Vents makes me think that this Eidolon might be a little bit better than I initially wanted to give it credit for. Ooh, Teamer. So this is either Teamer mid-range, Eternal Command, or I don't know, some value shell? Oh, it's Dredge. Oh, I cut the spirit that you sacked to exile a graveyard because I had rips in the side. Maybe that was a mistake, but this was before Hogak when graveyards were significantly more represented with Faithful Suitings. That was a pretty nasty cathartic reunion. Oh well. Opponent only got one prized amalgam and a Narcomoeba out of that, which means this Eidolon actually gets to block for a bit. And we found an Eldritch Evolution, so we're fairly close to being able to combo here. I do care about my life total at this moment, just because they still have 3 more things coming. Although they're only dredgers a life from the loam, so it's not that bad, but it is something that needs to be on my radar. I have a noble, so I actually... Our lands could do some upgrading. I think that this was right when Modern Horizons came out, that the list we were copying was taking snow. I need a Hollowed Fountain at the moment. I know Oath of Nissa fixes planeswalkers, but it doesn't fix creatures. So I could take Temple Garden, but then I have to use Noble Hierarch for Neoform. I can take... I've got an Eldritch Evolution. I want to try to protect my life total here, but it likely isn't as relevant as just being able to Eldritch at another point. So 4 drops I can get with Neoform are going to be Shalai, which is actually a really good blocker in this matchup, and Felidar Guardian. Deputy of Detention is pretty good for permanently removing things. Opponent is falling right into the trap of Blood Moon, although a lot of their deck is red. That Conflagrate's a problem. Discard 5, wrath my creatures away. Sorry, the doggo wants to be heard. He's got small doggo syndrome. Yep, Conflagrate, one-sided wrath. Seems fun and fair. So I get Oath of Nissa into hopefully a... that Horizon Canopy hurts. And I can't even cast it at the moment. Oath of Nissa is going to tell our opponent exactly what we're up to, but... Gonna see if there's an out here. I don't believe there is one. Spellskite kind of is an out. I'm going to have to pay 1 life for it, but I'm only going to be taking 3. Alright. We'll give this a shot. Then we get to Fairy next turn, bounce the prized amalgam. Tome Scour. Okay. I'm already dead to a Conflagrate or a Creeping Chill. Neoform can get me a 3-drop. I honestly don't think it matters. Oh, I can't even cast it. Alright, Teferi, come work some magic. Because they get to dredge a Stinkweed Imp, so we're probably dead anyway. And we found a replacement Teferi. So, dead to flipping just about anything. Okay, well, they didn't find anything great there. Likely going to kill myself to Horizon Canopy, though. If I find a non-basic... No, it doesn't matter. I meant basic. If I found a basic, I was thinking I might be able to Eldritch Evolution into a Felidar Guardian, Flicker Teferi, bounce the Narcomoeba, and stay in this. But they have a fetch land here, and so... I mean, honestly, the Dredge 5's the biggest problem. This looks like another cathartic reunion. Oh, I didn't see the conflagrate. All right. You got it, opponent. But par for the course, when you're a fair deck, Dredge usually takes game one, then you bring in Rest in Peace. Core Firewalker could be a consideration, not an amazing fan of it, but it could be. Teague actually stops the conflagrate pretty easily because X is double, so if they try to conflagrate for 2, it stops it, so I'm going to bring that in. Linval is also a decent flying blocker that can kill prized amalgams in combat, so that's probably a consideration. Skoos is great. Lotus Cobra's not. Kataki's bad. Eidolon of Rhetoric can block, but that's about it. We did see how awkward that was. Renegade Rallier can set up some really good turns with Lotus Cobra, but being a tutor target is just not very good. It's likely this shouldn't be in our list. I did trim the Spirit that you sack to exile the graveyard, and I probably should have trimmed this first, but this card is pretty stock with Saheeli lists, like it's usually at least a 2 to a 3 of. And I kind of just wanted to give it a shot. Like, sometimes playing decks means that you try what's in the list and try to have fun with it. Let's see, though. We still have to cut 3 things. Knight of Autumn can gain us some life to get out of Creeping Chill territory or make it so that Bloodghast aren't hasty. The Snapcaster's likely bad. Path could be a consideration to bring in. I'm going to drop this over here. Like, right now, this is the consideration pile. Just because Deputy can permanently exile something, they need to find an answer for it. So, and then Path is a permanent answer. Stopping a 3/3 from permanently coming back, or potentially stopping a Bloodghast from triggering the 3/3 from coming back is super good. I probably only need one of these two. A 3/4 Flying Angel for 4 is probably sufficient. Shalai is probably better than Linvala, so we'll make that decision. Ewit gets significantly less good with Rip, although they kill Rip and you pick it up with Ewit can be pretty good. This is a single tutor target, has come really clutch, but it's likely not good enough. Lotus Cobra, I don't know, maybe 3 paths. Trim a Lotus Cobra. Snapcaster's probably better than the other path, and then I just have not been liking Kiki. If the game goes long enough, we've probably won. Not being castable is so hard and awkward. Okay, this is technically a win on turn 4. Knight of Autumn Neoform, go get Feldar Guardian. And in a world of delicious candy, Birds of Paradise is better. Opponent's likely not going to kill Birds of Paradise unless it's with a Lightning Axe. And that is a Temple Garden. So I can just Saheeli here and scry. Or Knight of Autumn gain some life. Knight of Autumn gain some life. Neoform Saheeli should be... Let's actually do the math there. So Knight of Autumn this turn. Next turn I'll have 3 mana. Neoform Saheeli go get 3. I'd need Noble Hierarch out this turn. Not where you'll want to be. Let's just gain some life. Putting the +1/+1 counters doesn't mean anything versus the 3/3. Gaining life does stop the haste from the Bloodghast. You gain 4 life. That's a healthy guy, by the way. If the usual person has 20 life, that's a fifth of somebody's life total. That's like nearly beaten to death. Alright, now the Shriekhorn comes out. Proud of you, opponent. So I can actually Saheeli here, minus on the Knight of Autumn, blow up the Shriekhorn. They'll only get 1 activation. And Noble Hierarch, or I can Neoform, crack this, go get... No, I can do this. Okay. I don't know why I thought I didn't have enough mana before. The Feldar Guardian technically costs 3 if you cheese it. So let's do this guy. We'll get a Stomping Grounds. Entering untapped. We're going to go blue, green. Oh, because I don't have hard blue. That's why that doesn't work. All right, well, I guess Saheeli is going to be the best option here. So we'll Saheeli, attack with Knight of Autumn. Actually, no, I don't want to attack because then... Oh, they popped this already anyway, so I can attack. They're not going to have haste with anything that they've got. Minusing here is slightly weak to Conflagrate. But it's likely worth it because they're not dredging very fast, so blow you up. Then Noble Hierarch means I should be able to get the kill next turn. I guess that was weak because I didn't miss 2 damage, but I'm going infinite. I'm happy with infinite. Show me Conflagrate for 1! Okay, that's not Conflagrate. Oh, no, I can't make... again, I needed to playtest this deck. I really intended to. Like, I should have Neoformed before I scryed. Oh well. Hit opponent for 3. Oh my gosh, Neoform would get Felidar Guardian to flicker. I swear I thought this line out. Oh my gosh. I'm just bad at this game. Alright, so... this can go get me a Felidar Guardian at this point. Then I can Snapcaster go get a 3-drop. My 3-drop would be... let's just assume that I have some idea of what I'm doing. That could go get a Ewit. Nope, that's going to go get Magus. Okay, so I have enough mana for this. Let's go ahead and pretend like I didn't punt. Horribly, horribly, repeatedly. We're going to get a Felidar Guardian. Felidar Guardian blinks Saheeli. And opponent just concedes, so they had no interaction. Well, we didn't show him Blood Moon because of that, so I guess we can technically take that as a win. The Ewit was out of the deck, but the Snapcaster was still in. I'm feeling a little tilted off of that last one. I apologize. I should really be doing better here. The Lotus Cobra just feels a little weak. The Spellskite actually doesn't do anything. I think I'd prefer to have the Spellskite over the Ewit. Or the Ewit over the Spellskite. Words are hard, okay? Oath of Nissa, find a creature, Neoform, and Saheeli. These are all the pieces that I want, but I have no hate at all. And I'm relying on the top 5 cards of my deck to actually do something good for me. I think those are terms I'm okay to live with. Alright, opponent's currently at 4 cards, so my keep 7 is feeling acceptable. But they are also dredge. If that's just 2 lands, a cathartic reunion, and they find 2 dredgers, they can still kill me on turn 4 pretty easily. They are trying to decide if these 4 cards are worth it, though, so that's looking kind of promising. This can hit an enchantment, can't it? Creature, land, or planeswalker, so no enchantment. Alright, well that is another Saheeli Rai. Let's look for an Oath of Nissa. Show me the money. I do not need a 3rd Saheeli or a 5th land. Oh, that's sad. That's really sad. Alright, well, in a world I cast a Saheeli on 3 and they kill it, I suppose I want an additional Saheeli. Okay, 1 land from the dredge opponent, and we actually found a rip. Okay, well this might be concession rip. Just because opponent doesn't have much going on, and if they're trying to build from the yard, which it looks like it, then they're not going to get there. We have Oath of Nissa, so honestly the mana at that point doesn't care. There's our rip. Alright, no concession yet. But opponent is on the one lander. That is now going to be a Blood Moon. So, yep. There it is. We actually curved pretty well to beat a normal dredge hand there, but I'll take the win. It has been a little bit rough tonight, both play-wise and draw-wise, but we move up to 2-2, so we're at least getting half our entry back. This deck does have legs, which is why it's been on the fringe of the format. It just doesn't necessarily have the power to push it over, and it's not as fast as other combo decks, say Infect or Devoted Druid combo. Especially being Toolbox, these all-in combo decks like Bogles and Dredge, the ones that we did beat, we do actually show a lot of strength against because they just can't handle the fact that we interact with them on a way that most decks can't. This is going to be the heroic back-to-back Oath of Nissa legendary rule, but seeing as how we don't know what opponent's on, we can actually gauge that for what we need to do, so we can hang on to it. Plus, if these are actually our combo pieces, it's very possible we can just win with our opening hand. And it is Burn. Burn's going to be a little harder. We do have Scoozes. We have 3-course Firewalkers in the board just because we don't do well against Burn. They can just kill our creatures. It's hard for them to answer a Felidar Guardian, though. And that's going to be a lot of damage coming at us before we can interact with it. There's some slight value to just moving to boards before the Goblin attack because this hand is so slow, we're likely not going to beat it. Plus, Burn's gone back to the 4 Searing Blazes because of Stoneforge Mystic. Well, looks like this Goblin guy doesn't want to attack. He might be a little shy. You can do it, buddy. I believe in you. Go explore those lands. Knight of Autumn gains us life. And technically neoforms into a 2-5. An Eidolon here is super bad for us, though. Again, we can technically combo off with the cards in our opener. We'll grab a Saheeli, tell opponent exactly what's up. Honestly, Eidolon's bad here. 2 more creatures are bad here. Opponent saw the Knight, so they can just hold up Skullcrack for it. And that's a Knight. So that Knight means I'm likely not going to cycle this Oath of Nissa. It's just not worth the 2 life. We found a very painful land. I mean, take 2 damage, cycle a card in our hand when we're already discarding the hand size just isn't worth it, so down that goes. We can discard Horizon Canopy. The repeatable life loss isn't worth it. We're going to be casting cards until the end of the game at this point. Plus, Knight of Autumn comes down and then Oath of Nissa gets turned back on. But opponent's going to 4 us, likely 6 us. That's going to put us down to 6. We're going to take 2 and we Knight of Autumn. Then I'm likely going to gain life. So opponent, if they cast, they're going to lose life. And then I can Saheeli, try to copy the Knight of Autumn, blow up the Eidolon, or just start gaining life. Yeah, to that player. This was not one of the cards errated to say player or planeswalker. Boros Charm was, but not Eidolon. Sunbaked Canyon means that they get a redraw coming. Swift Spear means death is approaching. There's an alpha for 5, likely to be 6. So taking 9 here, maybe 13. Yep, that's 13. So, Knight of Autumn, gain 4 life, go up to 7, block here, take 3, die 2. Lightning Bolt, or Knight of Autumn, blow up this. Oh, nope, because when I cast this, I'm going to take 2, so gain 4 life, go up to 5, and then hope opponent's not on any actual action, so they have to blink for 2. But then I have to trade Knight of Autumn for Goblin Guide, and that's putting me on... Yeah, they need to blank for 3 top decks. Sunbaked Canyon their turn and their next turn. And even then, I'm actually just dead on table, so I need them to blank here. I can find a path. Path Snap. Path is pretty decent. But we honestly did not have a shot at this pre-board. Getting a couple of Firewalkers is going to help immensely. Opponent did tank on their first Goblin Guide attack for a while. I'm assuming that they're either double queued or potentially just distracted at the moment. So we're more than likely dead on table. Feels like they're slow rolling, but they're probably not. As long as we're waiting for the... Of course, now they decide to cycle the Sunbaked Canyon. Show me a bolt! Yep, you got it. Kill Knight of Autumn, attack for 6, I'm dead. We had to fade for a little too long there. Well, this is a pretty easy 3-in. Path, just because their creatures are the repeatable source of damage. Deputy of Detention probably isn't worth it. We have one as a tutor target, so that's likely fine. Magus of the Moon is bad. Rhetoric's bad. Kataki's bad. Knight of Autumn is great. This is one I wish I had more than one, but... Spellskite can technically save creatures as well as just fog a single lightning bolt, so that's going to stay in. Eldritch Evolution's probably too expensive for burn. Alternatively, it's just like they're going to get back their creature from the Deputy of Detention if they bolt it. The Rallier can bring back a Mana Dork or a Spellskite or a Skews. Yeah, all this seems fine. Kiki has just not been impressing me. Like, him as an alternate win condition could be cool if you have to sack a second Feldar Guardian, but we've drawn him far too many times for him to be impactful. Teague could be a consideration. They don't really cast anything large anymore, like Treasure Cruise days are gone, so that's not nearly as beneficial. But he is a 2-mana dork. The 3/4 flyer is probably just more relevant. Also gets around Eidolon of the Great Revel, if I'm not mistaken. I know in Soul Sisters I cast Avacyn a lot. I did a slash, not a bam. But the 4 toughness seems relevant. Yeah, 3 or less. So Lunvala can come in for that last flex slot. Alright, we would play first. We have a Spellskite and no mana. And actually our only land is Lightning Boltable. That's amazing. This is a little bit better, so we can shock this into play Birds, then Core Firewalker, or Oath of Nissa, look for another white source. The shock I'm not excited about, but this means I'm likely tucking the path. Ooh, sad days when you're tucking a removal versus burn. But this is just such a good card. If we stick Core Firewalker, this shouldn't be a problem. And opponent would have had to have brought in Path to Exile. Since they saw that we were Copycat, I could see their paths coming in, just that they can cleanly remove a Felidar Guardian. But little did they know, we came packing for burn. They pretty easily take game one, but we came packing for burn. Ouch. First damage out of the way. You need 6 bolts now instead of 7. But I have a Birds of Paradise. And we'll see if the old adage lives up. Bolt the bird. Ooh, Grim Lavamancer. Okay, well that can eventually kill my bird. But this is a really good magic card versus you. We will see if you brought in Path. If you did, you'll kind of mana fix us, so that's kind of okay. I could shock this into play and open up Saheeli for next turn, but I'm expecting them to Lavamancer down the Birds of Paradise, so I'm expecting to Spellskite anyway. And Grim Lavamancer is currently online. Opponent's already at 14. Very impressive. Alright, well, Birds is down. That's a Scavenging Ooze. I think I'd prefer to use the Scavenging Ooze when I can actually activate it at least once. So let's actually go ahead and Oath of Nissa first. And let's do it off of the red land, since red is less prevalent in our deck. Lotus Cobra isn't that great. I did want this land though, so we can go ahead and just go fetch our basic island. For color's sake, we do have Oath of Nissa, so the Saheeli's not necessarily a problem, but we have our Spellskite, and a 2 damage attacker like Goblin Guide can still hit Spellskite, and then Grim Lavamancer can kill it, so Core Firewalker is just going to sit on defense. After a little bit of time, the Scavenging Ooze is going to be good enough. This Saheeli can win us the game. Like, if we stay alive on defense and we run out their burn cards, we're going to be okay. Alright, 3 mana. This is where the burn deck wants to function at. Now, what is your plan, opponent? I'm expecting a hasty creature or potentially an Eidolon. Or none of the above. Fine by me. I want to leave up this blue so that I can activate Spellskite. Whatever. We're just going to cast Saheeli. We're going to get our Scry on. I can make a copy of Core Firewalker and make it so that they don't actually attack this turn, but then that puts her dead to anything. Plussing will make it so that they have to burn 2 burn spells at her, and even then I can redirect one with Spellskite. So Saheeli here is basically a really fancy gain 4 in Scry. But that's a card I'll put in my deck versus burn every day. And land is actually pretty good. That lets me Shalai, so then... Oh. Shalai giving Spellskite hexproof is a little bit of a non-bow. Oh, well done, opponent. Well, Saheeli ended up being a fancy gain 4 and Scry, which is exactly what I was expecting it to be. So I guess that's fine. Alright, well, I'm just going to go get a basic. I do want to get an additional green here so that I can potentially grow out of a lightning bolt, but being able to cast Shalai feels pretty good. Like I said, this is a little bit of a numbo with the spell skite, but this is still going to take. This is going to be a fancy gain 6. This is where our opponent gets to fire some stuff at our face. And you'll actually notice opponent sending 2 damage at my face while leaving 1 mana up. This is the second turn that they've done it. What they want me to do is pay 2 life to redirect, which doesn't make any sense at all. And I'm going to get in now. Because they're going to have to kill Shalai and be able to attack in through Spellskite, which isn't going to happen. Like, they can burn, activate Grim Lavamancer, and then if they have a Swift Spear or something, then Spellskite just gets to block. Spellskite is one of those cards that takes a little while to understand the rulings of. So I can target anything, including a counterspell with this, and it will become a legal target. I can pay the life and put the ability on the stack, but if it's not a valid target on resolution, then it won't actually get redirected. Because it's hexproof, it's not a valid target, so I'd pay 2 life, and then they'd still kill my Shalai. But Shalai was discard 2 cards, gain 6 life. I like them terms. And then after they tap out to kill Shalai here, I get to run out Scavenging Ooze and protect Scavenging Ooze at least once for free. Yep, that's the game. Anything change? Teague is still just a bear. Phyrexian Revoker can probably come in over something else. It'll just end up eating a bolt if they have a Grim Lavamancer. So I'd probably be over Lotus Cobra. I lose some haste, but I get some incidental hate and another target for a lightning bolt. I don't know. I really like the 3/4 flyers. Just because they survive a bolt, they can attack really well, and they don't end up taking a hit from Eidolon when they come down. Especially on the play, you play them after Eidolon, your opponent's just like, well, that didn't work the way I wanted it to, but here we are. Yeah, the mana base for this deck needed a little tender loving care, and I just could not give it to it. Ugh. Does the adage live up? Repeatedly bolt the mana dork. Probably. Unfortunately, this might be a throwaway for our last game, but if opponent has a Goblin Guide, they can fix a lot of problems, so... And I have to take a shock here just so I can actually cast the path. Alright. I probably should have led on Noble. If they're going to bolt the bird, the Noble is less valuable than the flyer. Or more appropriately, the thing that taps for any color of mana. Don't be an Eidolon. I have so many mana dorks. Okay, well, that's pretty bad too. That's technically a play. So, I think if I top deck another land... Whatever, let's just go Spellskite. It makes things a little bit more complicated for opponent. Searing Blaze is currently active. Hey, that's fine. I like that. I don't think opponent knows exactly how mana screwed we've been over here. Show me the land! Okay, top decking Teferi is the dream. That's not a Teferi. Um, Lotus Cobra, land drop. I can't really do anything super busted here. So Dryad Arbor, Noble Hierarch, hold up Path. Seems fine. Alternatively, Canopy, crack it. I want a Canopy next turn with a Renegade Rallier to try to buy back Lotus Cobra. So we'll get this guy out. I would have loved a Teferi. Lotus Cobra's ability will give us a Noble Hierarch. Honestly, just another chump blocker. Then opponent gets to Rift Bolt. Likely kill the Lotus Cobra. Nope, just going face. Alright. So opponent likely just has 3 points of burn here. Or 3 bolts. 3x3 damage. Am I dead, opponent? It sounds like I'm dead. And not attacking. Interesting. Ooh, that's a scavenging ooze. So I can't buy back my spell sky because opponent brought in Path, but I can scoos with multiple activations. Opponent hasn't really shown me too many creatures. I still want to actually try to draw land here, so let's go ahead and use Lotus Cobra's ability. We'll get a green and 1. That's a scavenging ooze. Then we can cycle this with, I guess, just the basic. It's the worst card here. We draw another Horizon Canopy. Alright, well, how many creatures are in the yard at the moment? We have 1. We only have 1. I want to gain that 1 life so I'm not dead to just 2 normal creatures, so eat the bird. And that means Renegade Rally are still waiting another turn to come down, but we are hitting a point where we're really close to stabilizing, so that's probably okay. Opponent's likely just going to take this. Don't want to allow me to grow my scoos. Well, Bolt likely pointed at scoos. Boros Charm, 4 damage. Alright, so still likely dead. Just confirming no creatures. I've made some horrible mistakes tonight, but I think I'm fine with no creatures here. Three cards in hand. You can't tell me you don't have a Bolt. Don't really have a way to kill a creature at the moment, so that happens. We'll add white. Don't really have a good reason for it. Core Firewalker. That's a pretty good card. Yeah, let's just path you. I think I'd prefer to have the creature at this point. Core Firewalker. So now opponent actually needs to have a path or a I swear I've paid for things in my life. White. We're going to bring back the Horizon Canopy. Horizon Canopy brings in with Lotus Cobra. We get a sack to draw another card. Nothing valuable there. Lotus Cobra represents the same amount of damage as Lotus Cobra and Dryad Arbor, which leaves us with a chump blocker. And we are very close to just killing opponent on the next turn. They need to have a Boros Charm or a Path and a Bolt to kill us here. Which it doesn't look like they have the Path, so top decking Boros Charm is the only thing that's lethal at the moment. We gotta swing back for 3, 5, 8 damage. Okay, well that's a redraw. If they find a Boros Charm, they get it. If not, we actually might steal this. Okay, well that actually does keep them alive. So I need a Saheeli here. Path doesn't quite cut it. Alright, well. We need to fade for one more turn. We had to crack 3 Horizon Canopies. Alright. Opponent got it. I think at the very least we showed that this deck had legs, though. Losses were Infect and the other deck that killed us really fast in round 1. I'm blanking on it. But basically it turned out to be a pseudo combo deck where creature removal actually would have done something. The 2 paths is definitely a deck building consideration here. We are a toolbox deck, and toolbox decks aren't necessarily fantastic. The best one around is actually Devoted Druid because you get a cord for combo pieces. And the New Green Finale is also a win condition with the infinite mana. We did have the ability to go grab some fun things, but I think the Kiki Jiki did show itself to be pretty awkward. The mana base had some issues. The pilot had some issues. I can fully admit that. I mentioned it at the start. I really wanted this to have some playtesting to it because going and grabbing the right toolbox does require some forethought and some knowledge into your exact list. It's really hard switching from deck to deck every week, and especially something like this where little decisions end up making a large impact. Like when I went to go fetch and I'm like, oh wait, opponent doesn't have any basics, and I went and fetched a non-basic to cast the Magus of the Moon. That's a problem. That's something that can be fixed with a lot of reps with the deck. So this is one of those that the more reps you put in, the better off you are. Our sideboard was kind of fun. I mean, I like to jam Linval in a lot of things, and it should have actually done some work versus Urza. That was the deck that we played, was Urza Paradoxical. Kataki was not good enough. Stony Silence, like Urza is probably the best deck in the format at the moment. There needs to be a Stony Silence in the board or a Collector Roof, just because that is a newer card from Modern Horizons that didn't necessarily make this list. And it would have been a really good tutor target. We just didn't have one. So Neoform is an interesting inclusion here. The Saheeli combo actually felt like it was a tack-on to a toolbox deck, which is fine. But if I'm going to be doing that, especially in Selesnya colors, it's probably better in a Devoted Druid shell. But what can you do? We wanted to have some fun, and I actually felt like we did. Flickering Oath of Nissa is definitely something I don't get to do on a day-to-day basis, but it is something with a lot of value and a lot of value attached, and I feel like it actually adds a lot of value to a format. It just probably isn't up to the power level for Modern, but thanks for hanging around, guys. I'm thirteene. I'm sure a lot of you have heard this pitch before. We have a bunch of fun decks up on Squirrel Dealer. I play a lot of fringe decks like this one, as well as a lot of fun brews. Feel free to go check out our YouTube channel. We have a ton of fun stuff up there. I've got my schedule over there on the left. I mentioned it also at the start of this video. Monday streams might be going away. It's just getting really hard to try to play test these decks and get everything set up that I need to. Something under consideration, though. I'm probably going to give it at least another 2 or 3 weeks before we make that decision. If you do like our content, Brad One also streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's always hosted by our Twitch account. And if you have a fun deck, send it. If you'd like to talk to me, contact information's up there. But thanks for hanging around tonight. Going to be playing something fun on Wednesday, and I hope to see you all there.